I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting for the Dare County Board of Elections. Today is Monday, March 14th, and Thursday. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Thursday, March 14th. And today is our supplemental and provisional ballot review meeting as a regular part of our post-election activity. And I'd like to start off by pledging allegiance, if you'll join me now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. The first order of business today is I'd like to, do we have, you sent out minutes for closed session and which we'll approve in closed session, correct?
Closed session minutes, we have two sets of minutes from last week. We have an early, we have two sets of minutes from last week, early and late session when we came back at
Right.
7:30. And then I have circulated and corrected minutes from 2 days ago.
Okay, and Ken, have you had a chance to see
Yeah.
those? Okay, and John, you're okay. All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the two sets of minutes that you submitted.
All right. Jackie, do we have two or three actual sets of minutes, or what have I bombarded you
You
with?
have three sets. One set is from the 3 o'clock meeting.
Mhm.
The other set is from the tabulation of the early voting sites.
7:30.
And then the other one is the sample audit
Yeah.
that was conducted.
And you saw my correction. I don't know if you saw the email
Yes,
with
I did.
correction. Okay. We have three from that.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Is there any other discussion? Any corrections or additions? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, the minutes are approved. We have a piece of business to take up today to start. And I'll go ahead and get started with it as best I can, and I'm sure Jackie will have some clarification after I finish. We have a second primary that will come up. So we'll be holding another election May 14th.
Let me correct that a little bit. Because yesterday we were advised that to anticipate it wasn't, my mic's on. We were advised yesterday to anticipate it, and it was said that it wasn't official yet, but more information would be coming. So we are anticipating a second primary, and the contest would be the lieutenant governor and possibly the NC auditor. They have received a request at the state for a second primary for the lieutenant governor race, the Republican contest. But they had not, as of yesterday, received a request for the NC auditor as of yet. So
Okay.
This came straight from general counsel's mouth that it's unofficial at this point, but we are anticipating to have at least the one lieutenant governor contest and possibly the NC auditor contest.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're moving forward as if we were planning to do it so that we can stay ahead of it and not be caught behind the ball.
Date again, please.
May the 14th.
May 14th.
And if it is a second primary, the early voting would begin on April 25th. Thus, we have to have our early voting plan into the state by Monday, which is March the 18th.
Okay.
So we are really being crunched on everything. They already asked us to get our election setup stuff into the coder as well. So we're kind of rushing on a lot of stuff. I mean, it's really putting a stress on everybody.
All right, given that this is going to come up quickly and this is something that, I thought would be a pro forma kind of decision for us today to come up with an early voting plan for the sites, the 3 sites that we used during this last election, this primary. And given the distribution of time over the meeting today and the meeting tomorrow, usually the canvas meeting's a little bit shorter than what we have to do today. What I thought is that, I could bring up, Jackie and I could bring up some of the issues that are orbiting how many sites to open. And then you all can think about that. And then tomorrow we can come back ready to make a decision, and that'll still satisfy having made the decision before Monday, which is what Jackie and Kelly need. So we've tossed around some of this, some of the aspects of this, and given that most likely, and I think definitely, maybe you guys can tell me this will just be a Republican second primary, having to do with the breakdown of the votes and no one achieving the clear lead of 30% or more than 30% to be able to not have a second primary. So that will eliminate some of the volume over the 3 precincts that we hold early voting. That's the Fessenden Center Annex in Buxton. That is the Kill Devil Hills Town Hall, and that is also the Board of Elections office right here. So there are aspects of this. Some of it has to do with staffing and cost, and it also, that comes up against the expected volume. And this is something that, we don't have in our budget, a second primary. And so given all these circumstances, I'm going to toss an idea out to you all, and you all can blame me later, but think about it. And you also can, tweak it however you want. And I'm fine with that. But what I thought is that we open the BOE office here, and then we open the Fessenden Center Annex in Cape Hatteras down in Buxton only. And the reason being that it's such a long stretch between the 2 locations. I think historically, the northern part of Dare County, including the North Beaches and Roanoke Island, Stumpy Point, East Lake, Mans Harbor, everybody historically are used to taking care of governmental business over on Roanoke Island. And I don't think there are the impediments on for the folks in the North Beaches to come over here to vote, or to vote by absentee ballot, or to vote early voting as they run errands around here. Cape Hatteras, I see as a different situation. There's distance, but there's also the impediment of weather and Route 12 flooding, particularly in Pea Island. So, I think that from a pragmatic point of view, my recommendation to the board is that we approach it like that. It'll keep our budget in a better place. It'll keep our staffing, it'll help us with our staffing, with trying to get folks to come and work, and we'll have the advantage of having Jackie and Kelly right here next to one of them. So anyway, that's my spiel on that. If anybody wants to say anything now, you can, but I wanted to give you a starting point to think about it tonight, and then come in tomorrow and we'll vote on it.
How about the hours?
The hours have to be the same.
They have to be?
Yes, yeah. If we open this office and the hours are, 6:30 to 7:30 or whatever they are, then the other precincts have to be the same.
I thought we can do the normal business hours, like 8 to 5. I didn't think we had to go earlier.
Jackie or Kelly, you guys want to?
So you can open the administrative site for business hours. And then if you open any early voting sites, that they do have to follow the plan. But because if we were to follow Skip's recommendation, because Jackie and I have to be here anyway to handle any phone calls or issues or problems with the offsite, we would just make both of them the same hours. And the offsites have to be 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. There's no reducing that the off-site early voting sites. So we would keep the admin the same.
Even if it's one,
Now, if we just did Manio and we did not open Hatteras Island or the North Beach site, then yes, we could do
Yeah.
normal business hours.
well, we
So
have,
that is an option as well.
we have one potential runoff.
Two.
We,
One
right now, we have one that
Yeah.
has officially filed with the state and one anticipating that had not done so as of yesterday.
And it's the Republican Party, so
know.
there is also an eligibility for the registered voters who are Republican, the unaffiliated who didn't vote, and the unaffiliated who voted and chose Republican. So some voters would not be eligible to vote in this second primary.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here, but how many votes did we get? I'll find out later.
We could run some statistics if you want. We can email you some things if you wanted.
You know, I'm just thinking, wow, we have, 10 people and we're gonna be open 1,000 hours. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
Well, that's some of what our thinking was.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not that we want anyone to be inconvenienced, but you do have an early voting period. And if people would take advantage of that or the absentee ballot, you can cut out a lot of that, we don't want anybody in Dare County to be inconvenienced, but this is a heavy year of elections in terms of wear and tear on staff as well as folks who man our precincts. And so there's some concerns there, I think. And the other thing to think about in terms of turnout is, if it's just about Republican primary candidates, anyone who took a Democratic ballot is ineligible to vote in this election. Same thing with Libertarian. They're not eligible to vote. That's going to cut down the numbers right there by a lot. And so, we get a little bit of momentum on this decision making, given the fact that you've already cut out a fairly large amount of the electorate, to be able to come in and vote. So, I was trying to find a pragmatic middle ground that would help us in terms of staffing and cost, and still get the job done well, so, but anyway, what my idea is for everybody to think about it tonight. You have time to ask Jackie or Kelly questions by phone or however you want to do it. If you need clarification, we'll come in here tomorrow and we'll make that decision. And then we can get on with business today with supplemental and provisional. Randy, did you have something?
Yeah, I would just observe that KDH actually had more votes in the primary than were here, and suggesting a larger population of whomever, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, and one possible consideration would be Fessenden and KDH, just because of numbers. Less of a convenience for staff, but I think if you look at the numbers, it's an argument to consider for using those two sites as opposed to here.
Yeah.
I can't vote in either one anyway, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But can we not have this one open?
That I don't know. Could we not open this and open two others? Is that permissible?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I know, that is permissible. This is considered an admin only because it's here 5 steps from our office. So that's why we qualify as an admin and can do only office hours.
No, okay.
But it does not have to be, we do not have to have early voting at our office.
Mhm.
You can have early voting off-site,
Yeah, I
which a
just,
lot of counties do. They don't have early voting at their office. Their early voting is specifically off-site in other areas of the county.
yeah, I would just observe the count that we saw in the first round,
Yes.
and location, and which frankly surprised me, but that's the way it was. And just as we're talking about convenience to voters,
But our office would still need to be open because we need to be able to field questions
no, I'm not disputing that. No.
from,
Question is whether we would have
Voting here.
voting here or move it up beach a bit. And Fessenden, I think, has to be on the list, as was pointed out, weather and other considerations, but
Well, and I think to speak to Skip's point, there's more of a expectance to have to travel to Roanoke Island for government business for our North Beaches, because historically that's something that's always been done. But to ask someone who did want to vote from Mans Harbor, Stumpy Point, Manio to drive to KDH is something that has not been done typically in most business. I think that's, and the fact that if we're already here from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. because we have to be to field issues, we might as well open up the admin site because we're here anyway, and not inconvenience Roanoke Island voters. I think if we do the offsites, we'll do this one as well. Why not? Because we're here anyway. This is the least difficult site, I think, to open because we're here and we do a lot of the work ourselves. It's, just a thought.
But
If
the-
we
Well,
open
and
the
I-
other two, we might as well do this one.
and my thought is simply that something for board members and staff to consider before we act tomorrow. That's all.
The KDH, the cost consideration was
Part of it.
one of the elements that Skip brought to the fore. The question is, okay, well, what is that cost to us to have KDH? Because if we were to go with Randy's suggestion that we just utilize the KDH and Fessenden,
We'll look at
Then-
that. We talked about that a little bit, but we haven't run the numbers on it.
Right.
Basically, it's, hourly wages times for 3 people, including a chief judge, times
At the
13.
3 at the minimum.
Yeah, 3 at the minimum for 13 days. Is 13?
12-hour days.
12-hour
Two
days.
shifts, because most people don't want to work a full day. So you're really looking at trying to find up to 6 people a day for 13 days. And on top of that, that's staffing, that's scheduling, so that's man hours. That's a DS200, that's an auto mark being tested, that's a supply bag being packed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into setting up a site. That's laptops, that's passwords, there's a lot more to it than just dollars.
And
It's mental man hours for the staff on top of managing 2 other sites, and we are a staff of 2.
And this
And
is,
what we ran into for this primary, we had some staffing issues, particularly down in Buxton. And we had some people that would work the full shift. So then we get into overtime hours.
Yeah.
But we had no choice for the primary because that was our only option and we needed people to work. So we had 1 or 2 that did work full days and they did get overtime hours.
And the skill level too, you have to consider.
Right.
Competent people that are willing to be there because they understand when you're reconciling every day, at the end of the day, they understand what happened at 9 o'clock so that they can figure out how to reconcile at 7:30. So it's really actually smart to have somebody who's willing to be there the full day to know all the if anybody was canceled or, different things that come up. So it's expensive to pay overtime, but it actually, I think, is helpful when you're running a site to make sure things are going smoothly and you have people that understand what's happening from day to day
Mhm.
and shift to shift. They run the site.
Yeah.
There are managers there.
okay, so think about this tonight. We'll come in here tomorrow and we'll vote on it and we'll move on, okay? So the next item on our agenda, and thank you for your input, Randy and John. I appreciate it, Ken. The next item on our agenda is the original purpose of this meeting, the supplemental and provisional ballot review. Jackie, I'll pass the ball to you.
What about were you going to do the early voting appointment date tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we'll
Okay.
vote on it. We'll just vote on it tomorrow.
Okay,
We'll give everybody time to
okay.
think about it.
Okay. Okay, so I think we'll start with the provisional ballots first. And we'll start, we have a total of 36, but not all of them are being recommended by staff for approval for various reasons, based on our research. So I think we'll start with the approved ones. Think, Kelly?
Unless you want to go group by group.
Yeah, we'll do group by group.
They can do approved and not approved.
Oh, yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll take them in categories, and we have two categories, approved and not approved, but there are different reasons for them, so we'll do them as categories. One being, what's the first one?
Do you want all of the not approved at one time and then go back and all the approved? What would work to help you keep things organized? Would you prefer? We've got different categories like incorrect party, out of precinct, ID not provided.
Not registered.
No record of registration.
Yeah, I don't think that really matters. Maybe we should just go through the ones that are approved,
Okay.
and we'll go ahead and take care of that, and then dig into the other. They're all different anyway, so I don't see it makes a difference.
Okay, so we have one in our list that is an ID not provided, but they have until 5 o'clock today to bring that ID back to us. So that would need to be handled at Canvas. So what we're recommending is we go through the process of all of the ones that your board can review, approve, or deny, whatever the case may be. And then tomorrow we can close the tabulators. Once that person, we find out whether they are coming or they aren't coming. And I think that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And then we can do all of our cleanup canvas work all at one time if the board is agreeable to that.
Yeah, are you guys okay with that?
Ken's not here.
Yeah.
Yes,
We'll have more time tomorrow anyway.
yes.
Okay.
So that was just one individual.
That's just one individual, yeah, on a provisional that
Right.
can do that.
So we can go right down this list if you want, Jackie. So there
Okay.
is one ID not provided that brought it in, so that's.
Yeah, we had one provisional that, she did not have an ID when she presented the vote, so she voted a provisional, but she has since come into the office and showed her ID. And that's the one that Kelly has there. I'm gonna go ahead and get this machine open so that it can be already
Bless you.
up. Bless you. Would you leave these down there?
Yeah, they're on that, podium. So the first one, this voter returned on the 7th with a valid driver's license. And Jackie and I both looked at it and it met all the requirements. And so we would recommend staff, that the board approve this one. That was the only reason she voted provisional, is that she did not have her valid photo ID with her when she voted. So she voted a provisional and she did return to the office with that document.
How conscientious.
She followed instructions.
Yeah, yeah. And she cared.
Kelly,
Could I keep going?
that was the only issue. Everything else about the ballot was correct. There was no
That's
other
right.
question.
Why isn't she passing more of them along? Why
Can I
isn't she
keep
doing-
going?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is it's an incorrect precinct, and the voter presented to vote in Kill Devil. I'm sorry, let me see where they voted at. I believe they voted in Buxton at a precinct. So due to time, they weren't able to go to their precinct. So that is the only issue, that they were unable to get to the precinct that they are registered. So we also recommend approval for this one.
They voted in KDH.
They voted in KDH?
Yeah, they voted in KDH, but they live in Frisco.
Okay.
They
It says
voted,
Buxton.
It's in Frisco.
Yeah, that says, voted KDH, Frisco.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the ones that the precinct line is screwy. So
Their precinct is Buxton. Is it not? Precinct voted. They're a Buxton person.
this is what was on, look at the, I think they may have did that wrong. Turn it over on her comments.
They live in Frisco, but their precinct is Buxton.
Correct,
So, and that's just because.
that's correct, because of the precinct, the way the precinct line is drawn. That's correct, that gets.
But they voted in KDH.
But they voted in KDH because they didn't have time to get back to Hatteras Island to vote in their precinct.
So that part, Buxton and Frisco doesn't.
Your recommendation is under those circumstances.
To approve it because of time constraints, they could not get there.
So the next one, the category is voter already voted. But what actually happened was this was a Dare County deputy. And on election day, once you go through the line and your ATV, your authorization to vote, is printed, the system marks you as voted. So he did not take possession of his ballot, but in between that ATV being printed and him getting his ballot, he was dispatched and he had to leave the precinct. So it showed that he already voted. So when he returned, his option only was to vote a provisional. So if we recommend that you approve this, so what we would do is we would cancel the first vote in the system. There was no ballot possession. There was no ballot fed into the tabulator. And then this one would be approved. It was just he had no choice but to leave.
That's the one with the two cities.
Okay, and we have two incorrect party that we do recommend that you approve. The first one, the voter did have a document on file presented, submitted in June of '22 that had the party change that they wished to be. That was a staffing error. It was not changed in the system. So she voted a provisional with the ballot of her choice, not the ballot she was registered. So we do recommend that you approve that. That was an administrative error. So we will correct that in the system, and she should be allowed to vote the ballot of her choice because she should have been registered. The second one, based off of Chief Judge notes, the voter was registered unaffiliated, and at the time that you present to vote, when you state your name and address, you also state the ballot you wish to vote if you're unaffiliated. They stated Democrat ballot. After the ATV was printed, the check mark turns from green to not voted to voted. As soon as that ATV prints, they decided before taking possession of the ballot that they wanted a Republican ballot. So the Chief Judge canceled that vote. You can't go back through the line and vote again. You're canceled, you're canceled. So your only option is a provisional. So they did not take possession of the ballot. They got the ballot that they wanted, but it had to be done provisionally. So we recommend that you approve that as well. It was just
I have a question on this one, Kelly. On the document, the person indicated the election official cannot find a record of my registration. Now, how does that reconcile with the description that you provided?
Because I'll tell you why. Because in the system, they could not find. They've got to click a reason, and they chose the wrong reason because they didn't. There isn't an
Who-
other.
Who?
That would have been the
puts
chief
that?
judge. The chief
Chief
judge
judge
did not
does
know
that.
what to put because that was just a very unusual circumstance. And I think they were concerned on choosing what they should have chose was already voted. but I think they were concerned of choosing that because he didn't actually vote. So they just picked one in order to be able to move forward through the process. I wish that there was an other category. Jackie and I double checked that and we've looked and there isn't. So we overrode and chose already voted because that fits more of the criteria of what happened, because the system treated it as a vote, even though he didn't. And that's why that says that, because she just didn't know what else to put. So we corrected that in the system. If you see that printout there, even though that's what they wrote, he is registered. They were able to find him. His ATV printed. He was not able to vote. He had to go.
He was called
Now,
away.
just-
He was called away.
Just a matter of edification on my part. How is it that we make the determination that a ballot was not actually, that was allocated to him was not fed into the tabulator?
Because the chief judge is telling us that he did not vote, that
Okay,
he was not given, he did not take possession of a ballot. And then when we reconcile, we have this many number of ATVs and this many ballots.
Mhm.
If he had voted a ballot, when I canceled, when that ATV was canceled, we'd have one more ballot than we have ATVs.
Okay.
And so it's reconciled that way.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So again, the two that I'm recommending for approval, wrong party, was one, an admin error. They should have already been that party. And the second one was they changed mid-process. So these are, we recommend for approval. Okay. Three more recommended for approval. ID not provided. The exception form, reasonable impediment form was completed, and they are attached to each provisional envelope for your review. So we recommend, because they did fill out the exception form, we recommend approval.
I have opened the tabulator as well, and it has a public count of 0. And if anyone from the public would like to come up and inspect the public count and the tape, it's 0 tapes printed, and they all are zeros on every content.
The final one that we recommend for approval is a no record of registration. Um, Okay, so what happened with this one was, and we've printed the registration form that they filled out. The first registration form they completed, they wrote their last name and their first name transposed. So where it says last name, they wrote their first name. Where it says first name, they wrote their last name. So we entered their registration the way that they wrote it by statute. We have to do that. So they were registered, and we were able to, upon further research, find them by their date of birth and realize that it was just a name transposing issue. So we corrected their name. We feel like their ballot should count because they were registered. It was just an error in their name. So they actually did have a record of registration. It was just not in the poll book where they were looking. They were looking in the wrong alphabet section because last name was first name was last. So we do recommend approval for this one. Where are these two? Rochelle and Diore. We need those. Oh, they're right here. Okay. So this goes with Gamma. This might just be my copy. Is that her? Okay, so this is just my copy. Yes, sir.
Highlighted that one, but Is this the individual that you were talking about here?
No, it's probably that one. I'm not sure. And, Ropac. Nope.
Okay. All right. So this is,
Maria's last name? Yeah, it's this one. Don't just ignore that. I'll just give him this one. Where did I highlight one? Let me catch everything. Because he was it, right? No record registration seems to be provided, no record, yeah. So this goes with that one. I apologize.
okay. So this is the one that was
Yes.
found once the names were transposed.
Yes, yep, and you can see that.
Okay.
If you look at the original application versus the registration application,
I thought
You
I
can
thought you
see
couldn't
that
change
is,
registration on election day.
You can't.
Correct.
he
But you
wrote,
can't
his last name is
Yeah.
William, but his first name
So
is
we have
actually
to let them
William.
vote.
And,
And
None of
this
us have ever
one
done that.
right,
Was an admin
Yeah.
error. She should have,
And-
this
and
person should have
it's
been
interesting, they want your
Republican,
last name first.
Oh,
Some
but it
documents-
wasn't her application that we could see.
Sounds like. they
Should have
haven't.
been Republican and it wasn't done properly, so
That's-
she's
that's-
eligible.
That's very reasonable. I just wasn't.
Yes.
That stuff.
Okay, all these are. You want to move forward with the not approved or vote on these first? And then, so that, okay, so I think that's all of it, so then we'll move on.
Skip, it's been suggested by staff that perhaps we vote, once you've completed review, we vote on the ones that they have approved and treat the others separately. Is that acceptable?
And I don't, however you guys want to do it, all or none, I mean,
No, we'll do the approved group first unless there are questions from any of the members, I think.
do you have a question? Did you have a question?
She answered the question.
So I'll state again, since the mic wasn't working, the DS200 is powered up, the public count is 0, and the tapes have printed and they are all 0. So I restated it because the microphone wasn't on.
Thank you, Jackie.
Just for my minutes, what was the total number for approved recommendations out of the,
That's 5. What they got down there?
4, so I think it's 9. Let me
Nine.
double check.
I think it's 9.
Let me
Okay.
double check.
What is this?
Ken, are those all the ballots that you've reviewed?
Yes,
Can I see them? I will count them. Just make sure they're all here.
there's 3 of them.
Go with what, okay. total ballots that we just reviewed?
That's what we're working on.
Oh, okay.
I think it's 9. I think it's 9.
Okay.
It says not registered, it says registered, so they are registered. Okay.
Yeah, what happened, this is the one she was explaining where he filled this out, and this is his last name. But he
Oh,
put
okay.
his first name in the last name slot and his middle name, he did it wrong, and we have no choice but to enter it the way we see it.
Of course.
So when he went to vote, they couldn't find him in the book because his name was entered wrong by his own doing.
Okay, yeah, I understand. He's from Texas, what can I say? He's from Texas. Came across the border.
Is that an excuse in statute or?
Remember that fence?
Right. Nobody crosses that, right?
7, 8, 9. It's 9.
It's total 9.
None, okay. All right. I'd like to have a motion of approval of the 9 ballots that we've just reviewed that were explained by staff in terms of what had happened on each of those ballots.
I make a motion, we approve the 9 ballots that approved by staff.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we, as a board, approve the ballots that we just reviewed. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, those 9 ballots are approved.
Just an information query to Jackie Kelly. For those individuals that are approved, does the office notify them or does it just happen?
They were provided instructions, an instruction sheet when they voted the provisional with a PIN number and phone numbers that they could call to verify the status of their provisional ballot.
All right, so it's up to the voter to follow up on that.
Yes, and they have been given it's an instruction sheet and it provides them with the PIN number that's here.
Uh-huh.
And that goes on the application, so all this
Right.
goes together. So they have that instruction to, they can call after canvass to verify whether their ballot counted or not.
Okay, but just for clarity of my notes, the obligation falls to the voter who filed the
Yes.
provisional
Correct.
follow-up.
That's
Okay.
correct.
And they can follow up after canvass?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So if you want to begin working on the staff recommended not approved, this group is incorrect party. There are 17 of them. And what that means is that these voters chose a ballot different than the ballot they were registered.
And if the board is agreeable, I'll go ahead and process the ones that you have approved.
Good idea.
Yes, thank you. You guys are okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Do you want a group down there to cross paths with? Okay.
Sure.
So these are 8 no record
That would
of
be fast like this.
registration. Staff did research and was not able to find any record of registration for these 8 voters.
Kelly, let's do it one way.
Yeah, to
Okay.
save confusion, because I don't want them passing like
You know, when
this.
you get old, you get a little forgetful where they're going.
Okay, that's fine. Take them down there in case we have to look at the envelope.
Kelly, I have a question for you. We have 9 ballots here that were not counted originally.
Correct.
There's 100 districts in the state. They're all doing the same thing.
Yes.
So we're talking about a second primary. Now, if there's enough of these votes that come in, could that cancel a second
Yes,
primary?
and that's why that's unofficial. It's not likely because the number of votes I think they need to have is pretty high. But in theory, yes, that,
Okay.
which is why they wait until after canvas to make that official in the event that they find supplemental and provisional votes that can get someone to that 30%. But I think that the amount of ballots needed is higher than I think what they have out there, because Jackie does have to submit like a survey that lets the state know how many provisionals we have waiting to be approved. I just don't think the numbers are there, but I'm not 100%. But yes, in theory, the potential is there.
But the state only knows there's one number, that and that total. They don't know the good ones and the bad ones.
Correct.
Correct.
Right. And I think even with what they know, I don't think we're there.
Okay.
I haven't looked into it, but I think what we need to get up to 30% is more than what they may have.
Yes.
So I just opened this provisional envelope, and the ballot was not marked as instructed by the chief judge. So I am going to mark the ballot with a P in the voter's precinct, because that should have been done at the precinct, and it was not. And we need to have that information in order for us to do our precinct sort when we sort our ballots by precinct. Because this ballot does not have anything, this box right here should show a P, that it was a provisional, and the voter's precinct on it. And I do not have that information here.
Jackie, that would have been staff error at the polling place.
That's correct. That would be on the chief judge. This one is too.
This one is not done correctly.
But it's up there.
Hmm?
It's up there.
Oh, they just did it.
They just didn't put it in the box.
It's better.
Yeah.
So he has to initial these.
Tabulator has 9.
So your initials go.
And if those are all the approvals, I'm going to roll the tape up, put it back in the machine, and then bring the machine back tomorrow in anticipation of the
The one.
the 2 that have IDs that they can bring back in by 5 o'clock today.
Two. One, there was 3 total. One was approved because she brought it back. There's 2.
two others.
2 others.
Yeah, till five.
Yes.
One already bought hers back, and the other is 2.
John, would you pass me anything you finished? I'll keep feeding it this way. Thank you.
Questions to staff for clarification on this last group, if you may. This group of non-approved that we are currently looking at, they're all individuals who wanted a ballot different from the way they were registered, which is a no-no under state law. Is the policy, and this is board, I guess, State Board of Elections, the policy, even in a circumstance like that, would be to give them a provisional to rule on it later, despite the fact they come in and say, well, yeah, I've been a Democrat all my life, but I want to vote Republican or Libertarian today.
Yes, that's the option. So
Okay, so the judge can't say, no, go home.
No, you can't, they can't refuse anyone
the right to vote.
opportunity to vote,
Okay,
regardless of whether they're registered with the party they wish to vote or not. They just can't vote a regular ballot if they're registered with one party and they want to vote another party in a partisan election.
Right.
And party changes are not permitted on election day.
Right.
They have to be done by the voter registration deadline.
but the official, I just want to be clear here, the official policy of both of state law and regulation and our operation, of course, would be, even in a circumstance like that, they would still be given a provisional.
They would be offered.
Offered a provisional.
Offered a
They
provisional.
So
don't-
that's the language. So no one should be turned away for any reason without being offered the
Okay.
option to vote provisionally and the board reviewing that at a provisional meeting. So everyone has the opportunity and the right to vote. So every circumstance there is offered, should be offered a provisional. The voter does not have to take them up on that offer, but they should always be offered, if they don't meet the requirements, to vote a regular ballot. And so that would include any circumstance, no record of registration, for instance.
Okay, you show up, you're going to get to vote something,
Yes.
provisional or otherwise.
If you choose to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just to be a nitpicky.
And I want to, if I could add to that, the reason why that policy is so good is because of the circumstances. For instance, the person that voted and it was a staff error. And so had they just said, oh, you're not registered, I'm sorry, you can't vote, then that person would have not been allowed to vote, and it would have been unfortunate because it was a staff error.
Okay.
And that's another reason why we do research on every one of these individually. The no records of registrations, the incorrect parties, the out of precincts. We research everything to make sure that you're provided with the best information to be able to allow or disallow that vote.
I understood, and I was just wondering is, since this is offered and a choice of the voter to use a provisional, do we have any record that says offered but refused?
There is an acknowledgement notice that is provided, that is recommended that the precinct official have the voter complete. And that simply states that they were offered a provisional and they refused to vote. But sometimes that is hard to get. Sometimes they can't always get that document signed, because that document would also act as a voter update registration form as well. But sometimes they can't get that from the voter. They just don't want to do anything.
Okay,
But there is that option as well.
all right, thank you.
What's that?
No labels.
Labels.
Yeah, no labels. I don't know what the B stands for.
What is the party affiliation, LLB?
No labels.
No, what's the B for?
Hidden labels. I
It's
guess.
called no labels, LBL.
NLB, yeah, no labels,
Yeah,
okay,
NLB is no labels.
They're using the B as
That's
part of
the-
the word labels.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I took note of that.
So the next batch is no record of registration. There's 8 of them that we recommend not approving after research.
Jackie,
Yes.
this is the provisional, right?
Right, and that, what she did was she wrote P1, which is for provisional, and number 1 would be poll book, but that's done incorrectly.
Okay, because this.
Yeah, this was incorrect, so don't pay attention to that.
So these, none of these. are-
No,
Okay,
they did this wrong. They didn't follow instructions.
all right, just want to,
Yes,
thank you.
you're welcome.
More questions? This says a registered Democrat, but this says no party affiliation. This is 21.
This was one that he was already registered.
That's what you say here, but it's not registered anything.
Well, he's registered as Democrat in our system on a prior application.
Okay, 'cause
So he
this is-
submitted this as an address changed, and he
Oh,
didn't put any party affiliation. And this was to show me that
21.
this is the latest one. And the guidance from the state was that when they submit a change of address and they don't indicate a party affiliation, you don't make any change to a current party
so
affiliation.
last time.
Right, his current party affiliation was Democrat, he submitted a change of address, did not include any party affiliation, therefore, nothing was changed to his party affiliation because he was already registered as Democrat.
Okay. Yep.
of these that do not appear that they have registered. So there is no record of them voting in previous elections. Is that checked?
There's no record of registration.
No, but is there any record of them voting in a previous election?
There wouldn't be if he's not registered. It can't be.
If
I'm
there's
sorry.
no registration record, then there's no voter history.
We have one here. Voter verbally affirms their continuous residency within the county.
That's the voter stating that,
Yes. Mhm.
but that may just mean they haven't ever moved, but they never registered in their county.
Mhm.
Because we found no record of registration for them at all that existed.
So a comment like that could come into play if the voter was registered and then removed, like for instance, due to some sort of inactivity. Then you could take into consideration that they maintained continuous residency at the same address, and we had something to compare that to, and then that could be a potential approval. But we were not able to find that they ever registered. So even though they were a resident, we have no registration record at all.
Hasten that on the conversation. We don't have to have the three approvals. Why would we have to be tied? The appointment ties.
Yeah, so I think what they're saying is if you're staff, you can't make your change. But do you still have to fill that 3-person qualification? So do you still have to have that? That's on the bill. If you and
I don't know why we couldn't.
right, and that's my question.
Yeah.
And then if we know you're
Kelly, okay. Just a point of clarification. This person has been registered since '92. That means they've been voting all these years as a Democrat. This year they decided they wanted to become Republicans. All right? Because this says they're a Democrat someplace. So they've been a Democrat since not here. So that means they've been voting all these years. Except this year they decided to change.
well, and they may not have wanted to change. What does it say?
If they want-
Indicates party affiliation choice to remain So what they're saying is they don't even want to change.
But they want to vote Republican.
In this election, that's
But
what
they
they want.
can't do that.
They cannot do that.
Okay, I'm thinking this since
And-
92 is a long time, you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
let me see. Registration statement indicates party affiliation,
Yeah.
choice of Democrat, no other attempts to change the party line. Oh, they do want to change because
Yeah, they
in
put
this
it here.
update, they put it here, so they did decide they want to change. We're seeing a lot of that.
So also
What is the question?
Everybody wants to vote on libertarian.
Yeah.
What's that?
I've got a lot of registrations that are changing.
Is this, does this need to be opened up? Is this missing something?
No, the ballot is inside here
Uh-huh.
and the application is just this.
Okay, so
So,
the others had
You can have
separate,
so
For
if there
registration.
wasn't something,
like this.
so there was
no
nothing.
record of registration.
Right, so there was
that's the
nothing
reason.
to-
Okay.
You can have all these back. Thank you.
What was Ken's question? They're asking what was Ken's question?
So,
Oh. Sorry.
So Ken was just remarking on our documentation that noted that this application submitted. So we always look at what we have on record, and the only document that we had on record for them was a registration application from September 23, 1992. So it was a long time ago, where they indicated that they, their party choice was Democrat, and they made no attempts to change their party from 92. So their first attempt or request to change was now provisionally to Republican. So he was just remarking on the length of time that a voter was registered one party. And that is exactly what happened, was that they wanted to vote a Republican ballot, but because they were registered Democrat, they had to do that provisionally. But they did indicate that they wanted their party affiliation to change moving forward. So once this election is over, even if the board decides to not approve the ballot, their registration update will change to Republican moving forward.
No, my comment was, have they been voting all these years? I mean.
Yeah.
The last indication was 92, and now we have a thing that says they want to become a Republican. So I'm wondering, have they been voted all these years? She said yes.
Yeah.
They have been voting all these years as a Democrat. And this is the year that they changed.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a little, I wasn't too sure what I was seeing. That's all. I want to verify it. That's all.
We had no indication that they had ever chosen to register anything other than Democrat up until this incident.
But they could have changed their party in early voting.
No,
They have to change their party affiliation by the registration deadline, which was February the 9th.
Yeah.
They can make an address and name change during early voting, but not a party affiliation change.
And the registration, they could do same-day registration.
They could do same-day registration.
if they're
yes.
not registered,
Yeah.
only if they're not registered.
If they're not registered.
Thank you.
And I think we were finding too that some people still aren't quite understanding of the primary, and that you have to vote the party that you're registered, as opposed to a general where every party is on the same ballot, so you can pick and choose. So that may have been some of the confusion for some.
And just as an FYI, for the second primary, there will be no same-day registration.
You can have all the back. Thanks.
Person presents all the credentials. No, it was the name. Her voter, her name presently is, but she was registered.
This one, voter verbally affirms their continuous residency within the county. That's the voter's word. Down here, no record of registration. And the only thing that's checked off is the DMV. And I'm wondering if it's possible for them to have registered, but DMV not have record of it. Because
Not their license.
well, if they don't have a driver's license,
Yeah, that's good.
you know, I'm, I just caught a thing here that I've never thought about.
And you know
You
why
know,
that?
is it possible that
And
they
you know why that
registered, they didn't have a
happened?
license, they
Because the official
registered with
call
our
us
office?
and give us
No, they'd have
information
it.
so that we can
They would have it. by now.
properly research.
Yeah, but that's not checked off
But let me
anywhere.
go check this real quick.
You know, there's no box that says that we've checked our office. Because, they've checked
Yeah,
this,
that's
I
the
guess,
only one.
provisional disposition reason, not registered. That's the reason, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being too officious,
I've
but
seen, I'm sure they looked it up already. What's
Yeah.
it say on the other side? No,
this is basic information here,
but they can't find them.
So they can use.
Huh. That's a deadline.
Right.
I guess that, this is cross verification. That must be it, that they're not
The
registered.
original.
You don't want things out so they can feel better. Thank you.
This would say they probably have
What's that?
a driver's license. See their birthday?
Date of
So
birth.
this one should be,
87.
Yeah.
reason being, this one should be approved. Reason being, her name, her registration was under a different name. And when I looked it up, I checked her date of birth, her driver's license number, the last four of her social, all match what's on this provisional application. But I failed to write on the envelope that she is registered unaffiliated, which would qualify her to vote a Republican ballot. So this one should count. That was my bad.
What time did that come out of?
This came out of the no record of registration.
Okay, so we've got a record, and that ballot should be a yes.
This should be a yes, yes, because I failed to write down on here that she was registered unaffiliated. And as unaffiliated, she could choose to vote any ballot style of her choice that's available. So we can process this. I will open the machine back up and process this if the board approves it.
Did you want to review this again?
No, that's,
This was another
Still
stamp.
confusing.
What's that?
It was undeliverable. They moved,
Yeah.
but this,
It'll be 9.
they're registered or not. This is not registered.
Yes.
17.
What they registered in Manio. Address, the Manio address is undeliverable too, so they.
It's sent to the Manio address
Also,
we just.
they sent them both of them.
to verify.
Neither of them came back.
Further review, that should be a yes. That's gonna be.
Which one are they keeping?
What's that?
Which one are they keeping?
They keep it?
They keep one of them. This,
Yeah, that's the one that she
Okay.
said is an administrative error. We should approve it. I haven't looked at it yet, though.
it's like I do bad.
Yeah, because there was quite a
Not
few
that
record
old, though.
registrations.
Yeah, you looked at that?
There was that weren't approved.
Yeah, no.
So this is,
Yes, yeah.
the
I was just, the
voters.
numbers you were asking me, I'm not sure about from 8 to 7, I
Well-
don't know what you mean.
Oh, I'm.
Current
No,
name.
The current name,
Uh-huh.
but they're registered
I
under.
don't think that's
Oh.
accurate
This-
though, because there
And
were,
they presented all the credentials that support this name, and she was registered unaffiliated.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in the voter registration, in our record, I was able to compare the DOB, driver's license, and last four of the social.
And everything
And
matched.
everything matched what is provided here.
Right.
So she is registered under a different name. Maybe she got married or divorced or whatever the case may be.
And we have no allowance for accounting for that.
And she's registered unaffiliated, so she would qualify to vote a Republican
Yeah.
ballot, and this one should be counted.
Okay.
This is, you want to keep this and
there's split up categories,
You don't need this
so
one?
I just want to do a final
everybody
count.
else.
Okay, let me have those.
So we'll handle that one as a separate.
Yes, you can do that, yes. And then we will tabulate. I've opened the machine back up, and we can go.
Yeah,
ahead
and I'll ask for your explanation, just so it can be described to the public.
I did it already on the,
No, but I mean verbally for
I
the,
did on the live.
oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah, she told you, me
okay.
and
I was probably
you
looking
and
at
me and
something.
him.
All right, is that it?
Yeah, but I think we need a second to just give you a final count, if you'll wait just a second. Yes.
You can go ahead and do the one that we,
Okay,
To vote on.
all right.
yes.
Yeah, we have one ballot that staff has corroborated. A person had voted under a name different than what they had originally registered for in Dare County. And by using the last four of the social security number, the date of birth, and the DMV number, everything matched. So evidently that person was remarried. So I'd like to have a motion to approve that ballot.
Make a motion, we approve the one ballot that we corrected.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve that ballot. Is there any other discussion or questions? All right, those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Are those opposed, nay? Okay, that ballot is approved.
And I will go ahead and tabulate that now. And again, this is another one that the precinct official did incorrectly. She didn't write that it was a provisional or the voter's precinct on it, so I am doing that now. So we'll have that for our precinct sort, and I will tabulate that ballot. Our public count is now 10.
She's counting. She's gonna give us a number of the ones that aren't, they're recommended we don't approve.
These two on top are awaiting. This is, that one's I just did.
That's what I have. Is that what you have?
Yes.
Okay. And we have
That's the
two
one that we're
that bring in their
approving,
ID
just the
by
name change.
five.
Yeah.
Skip, I just gave you that because you need to initiate. I've
Okay.
already- you
Oh,
already
okay.
taken care of all
Okay.
that.
If they do that, we can approve, well, I
They
guess we
want
would
us to get
disapprove
mixed
if
up.
they don't bring in their ID. Is that
Thank you.
correct? Tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah, I thought maybe I hadn't passed it to you.
We've got 24 that were not approved.
How many?
24.
Yes. And 10 approved.
And 10.
We need a motion on the not approved.
Yeah. All right, is there a motion for the 24 ballots that staff is recommending that we not approve? Is there a motion to not approve those ballots?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor of not approving the 24 ballots as recommended by staff, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, those ballots are not approved. And one message to any voters who may be watching this, some ballots are not being approved because voters are not registered. So if you're suspicious that you may have something that could keep you from voting in your registration, please check with our election staff on that to make sure you can vote in the second primary coming up in May and in the general election in November. It saves us a lot of work, but it also makes your vote count. Make sure that you're registered, and so we can have everybody vote. That's what we're here for. All right. Do we have any other business?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have supplemental absentee ballots,
Okay.
and we have 19 total. We have, we have a total of 22. We have 19 civilian and 3 overseas that staff received via the portal or email, and we have duplicated those ballots, and I have them here for the board to check the duplication of those ballots onto a tabulated ballot that the tabulator can read. And then we have 19 civilian ballots that came in on election day. We do have 1 civilian ballot that the voter did not put their ID in the pouch. So we have contacted that voter, and he has until 5 o'clock today to bring that into us. So we will hold off on closing the machine until tomorrow at our canvas meeting, if the board is agreeable to that, to allow that voter time to get that in if he chooses to do that.
You all are okay with that, right? Everybody's okay with that?
Yeah.
Ken, you okay with that?
Okay.
All right.
So I will give you all these duplication ballots to look at first, and then we'll move on to the regular civilian ballots. One of the overseas ballots, the voter only submitted the first page of the ballot. He did not submit the second page of the ballot. You know, the Republican ballot is two-sided, but he only submitted the first page. He only voted for the president and governor. He didn't submit anything else. So I have a little note just indicating that for your information.
So there were 3 overseas?
Yes, there's 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, and civilian, other
19.
19. Okay.
And while the board is reviewing that, I will go ahead and close up the tabulator for the provisional until tomorrow, when we give the voters that were supposed to come and bring their ID until 5 o'clock today, and then we'll close that up tomorrow for our canvas meeting.
What about these ones? Don't,
We're going to do those too.
okay.
That's a different machine.
Have to leave open what.
There's the first one.
Yes, and we're going to leave the supplemental machine open until tomorrow. I'm just going to power it down, and we'll have 10 votes tomorrow already on here. Yes. Yes. It's 2 different machines. Yes.
Well, I had the same address on this one. I'm gonna say, wait a minute, what?
I'm gonna go ahead and power up the absentee supplemental.
That's what they voted only for two people.
What's that?
That's when we voted two people.
Oh, yeah.
Person can be overseas for like any reason, military, employment, congregation, or school, and that's enough to allow them to apply for the with the overseas. Yeah, it's in there otherwise. But there's no question as to why they're in it. I don't know. Panama, they can
Their
stay.
email. And they are not subject to the.
And is there a separate? I didn't notice anywhere military, there was a separate military.
There's military and overseas.
So it's all one.
Request form, yeah, and you are. You can-
Which one you are?
If you're military, spouse military, or overseas. There's a few different categories related, but they're all military overseas.
Okay.
So it's a special request form.
All right. How soon do they have to make that request prior to an election?
Their deadline's a little bit different. And it's a registration request form. It's called a FPCA. Deadline requirements, and they have a longer time to get the ballot return.
So they, if they're not registered, they could register it even though they're overseas at the time. And when they doing that, they can vote.
Zero. It's a lot of work to get a zero.
And
Three ballots
registration
in all
just at
contexts.
their local address
So it's a lot.
somewhere,
It was only a 93 beforehand, so.
driver's license or something, somewhere.
Yeah, they provide
They
information.
said it was only at like 93 from the last.
Yeah, he-
Process.
Looked like there were a huge number.
Right. Okay.
No.
And there's something that's a law, that's a little bit
The
different.
supplemental machine is up. The public count is 0, and I have a 0 tape printed. If anybody would like to see it, there it is.
The data allows them to fill out that registration.
There you go. Three overseas.
Does that work the same for state or is that a different?
Can we start the rest of them?
I
Yes.
think the ballot, they can write in.
So the next thing we have 19 civilian ballots, and you want to split them up, or you want to just?
Let's just bring them. We could split them and then stop them You know, like you hold the pile, let it pile up from you two, and I'll do the same thing, then we'll just trade.
Just take half of it and start it.
Just don't pass them to me. And Ken can take those and bring them this way.
I can give you half, you and I can split. They're not open.
You're not supposed to open them. All you're looking for is
I
the,
just want to make sure.
It's not a present.
I thought it was, just checking, boss.
you feeling better, I see. I'm glad.
Our secret sauce is back.
Did she send this in separately or how?
No, it came in like that, but I opened it, took it out so you all could see it because if it's folded up like it was, you couldn't see
Couldn't see.
anything.
Okay.
So
all
we
right,
take it out if it's like that, so we can view it for one, and then you all can see it as well.
Okay.
They blow it up so big, I don't know why. I mean, it's a full sheet of a face.
Including a copy of my photo. Johnson. I think that one didn't mark. Didn't check this off. This one,
This?
yeah, but I don't know if it matters or not. I don't think it matters.
I don't either.
Okay.
Every now and then.
Can I take these?
Michael.
should agree for you.
They've already reviewed it. Okay.
Jackie, question, please. The rest of the stamp must be under here,
Yes,
because I can't see his expiration date.
but it's written here, so you don't have to see it on the seal. As long as it's written, you don't have to see it on the seal,
Okay.
because it may not be on the seal.
Only because it looks like the seal was done and then they put.
That's
then
exactly what they,
closed it.
that's what they did, but if the notary expiration date is written here,
Okay.
that's suitable.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
father signed here and the son signed here, see, it's junior. The father filled out the form and the son signed it. I know, it's just,
Yeah, I have. That's okay.
I picked up this stuff the other day and went through what I
here
had.
here you go, Jackie.
This- that was- yeah. But we're good.
I know. The father signed it here and the son signed it here, see the junior? Is that a junior? Signed junior.
What do you mean?
Look, the witness. And this is junior, so.
That doesn't matter.
I know, all I'm
Frank
saying-
Best,
I know, but my argument is, father signed it here, the son signed it here.
but that's not.
He can't stop.
I know. But he's feeling better.
Yeah,
That's all that matters.
But you
So
get the whole
all these
pack-
are done?
but you get the whole
Yes.
package.
Okay. Yes.
Looks like Wally Overman won't be our commissioner next year.
What's that?
Wally Overman won't be
So
our
the board
commissioner.
has looked at all the civilian absentees and the overseas, so if there's approval, we can get a motion.
I would move that we approve the ballots that we have just reviewed.
All right,
That's
is there,
19 civilian and 3 overseas.
okay.
You said one of them deferred because.
No, out of these, it's not. Not these are not. We haven't got there yet.
I second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the 22 ballots that we've just seen, 19 absentee civilian ballots, 3 absentee overseas ballots. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? Okay, the ballots are approved.
And this is the one civilian ballot here that we have with no photo ID, so we have reached out to that voter, and we're waiting to hear from them by 5 o'clock today.
Okay,
And we'll address this tomorrow, one way or the other.
okay. So there'll be no action on that ballot today.
Action on this one until tomorrow.
You actually received 23 and you voted on 22.
Correct. And then we have ballots that were received late, and I guess the board would need to deny these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that were received after the 7:30 PM election day deadline. And I have them here if you would like to see them. They're all postmarked 7th and 8th, and they were late.
8,
There's 8 of them. Do you need to look at the postmark? I mean, not the postmark, the date stamp on them. Their date stamps on the 7th, 8th, the 12th, 11th. So their date stamp 7th, 8th, 11th, and the 12th is when we received these.
Do you want to see those? Skip?
what's that?
Do you want to see those?
No,
Do you all want to look at those?
no,
That's 8,
No,
8.
no.
Randy, do you want to look at those? No. Okay, all right.
Take a
right.
motion.
You okay with going ahead?
Yes.
All right, the board's consensus is that we don't need to look at those, but we do need a motion to approve, well, to not approve the ballots as they were received. So is there a motion?
I move that we not accept the ballots that arrived after the deadline, the
Okay.
8 that were not received timely.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we not approve the 8 ballots that came in late. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of not approving those 8 ballots, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, the ballots are not approved.
And I have one more that was received on March the 5th, which was election day, but it was not submitted properly. When I left it just like we received it, I opened it up, and this is exactly how I received it. The ballot's in here, there's no photo ID, and the container envelope itself was not completed. And since it was received on election day, there was no time for cure. But I did call the voter and left the voter voicemail message on the morning of election day and told him that he had received his ballot, but his ballot container was not completed, was not done properly, and that he did still have time to go to his voting place to vote by 7:30 PM on election day.
So that ballot
I have not heard from that voter.
that ballot container envelope does not have the voter's signature. It does not have witnesses or a notary public.
It does not have the voter signature, it does not have witnesses or notary, and nor does it have any photo ID information
Okay.
included with it or an exception form.
All right.
Can we just,
All right. I don't think we need to look at that. We could pretty much see it from here. Is everybody okay with going ahead with a vote on that?
You need a motion?
Yes, let's have a motion.
That's one ballot.
Yes.
I move that the board reject the one ballot that has just been presented.
I second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the board reject the ballot that we just saw, lacking what it needs on the envelope, on the container envelope. Is there any other discussion or further questions on that? Okay, all those in favor of rejecting that ballot, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, that ballot is rejected.
And I'll go ahead and process the 22 civilian and the overseas that were approved.
So there is no deferral.
Excuse me?
So there is no deferral for the,
There is one.
I thought they just voted to reject that.
No, that was a different one. We have one that didn't have an ID. We have one that has
That's an
nothing.
invalid container.
Yes.
So then there are 24 in total.
Yes. Well, yes,
24.
yes.
So we'll have a marathon session of this for the general election. Be massive.
I'm gonna resign July 1st. I'm resigning July 1st.
Out of convenience.
You can consider that resignation.
Thank you.
People like you down and drag you in.
In my whole life,
Doesn't matter.
Chicago style. Where's your stand?
Well, technically three, two provisional, one, actually.
Go ahead.
Public count on the absentee supplemental is 22.
Jackie, do you want me to take, I gotta go. Do you want me to take this in the room? These are the,
So I'm going to just power down this machine, and then we'll bring it back in tomorrow and finish up waiting to hear from the voter that we contacted to see if they bring in their ID.
They're in the general, just, don't even think about it.
They're not to call, email, text. Get started. They will not get response, or they may get the response they.
Thank you.
How long do you keep those ballots that we did, that we said
I don't
no
know
on?
right off the top of my head. We have a retention schedule. I think it's 2 years, but I'm not
Okay.
sure. I'd have to look.
No, okay.
And it might be 12 months. I don't know. I can't remember. There's different schedules for different things. No, they recessed for, I can't remember what they said. Yeah, they talked, we had a, what we call a huddle with the state yesterday, and they said that they recessed. I don't have my notes from that, but they didn't do any act on it. They recessed it to do some further investigation or something, and they said that they would be reaching out to the counties if they needed to, but they didn't conduct it. They recessed or something.
Okay, so they didn't, neither side presented its.
Don't think so.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, all right. Is there any other business that the board has? Any questions or anything? All right, tomorrow we will meet again here at 11 a.m. for our canvas certification of the vote, and we will also lock in our early voting plan for the second primary. I'd like to thank everyone for your interest and for hanging with us, and we'll see you tomorrow. This meeting's adjourned.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent. Rest of the day, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Karen, you good?
I'm good.
Safe
Thank
travels
you.
getting back.
I had written down initially that you had 23, and when we got to 24, I was like, okay, so I missed out on my number somewhere.